Rouglites, they're everywhere these days, aren't they? It's like the Binding of Isaac pulled the finger out of the dam and then came the flood. Roguelites as far as the eye can see. I mean, just type the phrase into Steam, be it roguelite or roguelike, and see just how many pages of it you can wade through. Today, however, I'm going to be focusing on just one of those, a game that originally launched in early access and graduated to full release in June of this year. Cryptark. Cryptark is a game that has you contracted by shadowy lizardmen in search of the legendary Cryptark itself, host to all sorts of deadly and advanced technology created by an ill-fated alien race. To pinpoint its location, you'll have to make your way through several waves of the surrounding derelict fleet first. Each wave gives you a selection of ships to investigate, but the ultimate aim always remains the same. Reach the core, disable it, and receive a fat bonus for doing it under the time limit. If that sounds deceptively simple, that's because in order to reach the core, you'll have to contend with the rest of the ship's defensive systems first, and that right there is where the real meat of Cryptark lies. The systems contained within the derelict ships come in a wide variety of flavors, including shield generators, drone factories, turret controllers, alarm, repair and failsafe systems, not to mention nuclear destructs, and the insidious shuffle system, which shuffles all of the systems around every 60 seconds. The way all of these interact and stack on top of each other is almost ingenious. You might want to reach the core only to find it shielded by another system, which in turn is protected by an alarm. Triggering that will bring a horde of drones down on your position, and having to fight your way through that may buy the repair system enough time to bring the system you just destroyed back online, and before you know it, you spent a bunch of ammo and hull integrity getting yourself absolutely nowhere. As you can imagine, having a plan of attack is essential. For the majority of the time, you can rely on a comprehensive map of the derelict to figure out what you've gotten yourself into. It's all about identifying which system is going to be the most immediate pain in the ass, and for me, that typically boils down to the shuffle, failsafe, and repair systems. These three, if left standing, can make taking down everything else a big uphill struggle. The failsafe taking over the functions of whatever you've tried to destroy, the repair putting it back together, and the shuffle potentially teleporting it to the other side of the ship far out of reach. Lord help you if you end up in a derelict containing all three. The derelicts themselves come in a few varieties, from stockades and power plants to dreadnoughts and multi-core duplexes. Their names intended to convey the kind of reception you'll encounter when you get inside, or even in some cases before you even reach an airlock, considering some derelicts can occasionally bristle with flak turrets. You may wonder what the incentive is then for willingly throwing yourself into a ship that may very well pummel you into oblivion, and that is of course the promise of a nice fat payday. Money is what keeps your ammunition well stocked, your repair kits in plentiful supply, and what allows you to strap on a few extra toys should you find blueprints along the way. Money is even what will keep you going should you find your salvage mech going boom. You see, total failure here doesn't occur until there's nothing left in the wallet. There's always another opportunity, well, provided you're frugal with your spending habits. It all comes down to how much you're willing to risk in order to reach that eponymous Cryptark at the end of the line. Do you attempt to crack those bigger and tougher derelicts for a bigger payday? You may even find a bigger number of weapon blueprints along the way, not to mention the extra bonuses you could earn from your shadowy employers, the default being from clearing the derelict under the time limit, but why stop there? Why not shoot for the no repair bonus or the payout for leaving certain systems intact? Screw it, you don't need that extra hull armor. But you do need that extra cash. It's a slippery and oh-so-compelling slope that pushes you to just go a little further, all in the simple aim of shutting down that ship's core. Control-wise, Cryptark keeps it simple. If you're playing with a controller, it's twin stick. If it's mouse and keyboard, it's WAS and D for direction and mouse for aim. Personally, I preferred the mouse and keyboard just for that extra bit of precision when things got a little heated. With the controller, I generally found that I'd waste most of my ammunition on a nearby wall rather than the intended target. I found the camera to be a little unhelpful sometimes too. Generally, it'd give you the most screen space for where you're aiming, but not where you're moving, meaning that you'd sometimes blunder into an even trickier situation because you literally can't watch your back. Thankfully, the minimap goes some way to mitigating that, helpfully displaying nearby enemies in sections you may want to avoid. When it comes to the weaponry in Cryptark, it comes in a dizzying amount of variety. Multiple choices categorized under machine guns, shotguns, melee, grenade, rocket, shield, and energy. Granted, to begin with, your arsenal is going to be pretty limited until you do a little bit more exploring, but before you know it, you'll be able to arm yourself with wonderful sounding weaponry such as advanced smart guns, sub-munition rockets, Vulcan lasers, and the somewhat familiar sounding GFB 9000, which essentially ejects a compact fission reactor that obliterates anything in the direction you generally aim it in. Truly, the arsenal here in Cryptark is the other half of the experience. For all that satisfaction that you'll experience from planning your route through a derelict and methodically taking down its essential defensive systems one by one, there's also a tremendous amount of satisfaction to be had in just unleashing this weaponry. And by the time you reach the last few derelicts in Cryptark's campaign, you're gonna need them. Mid to late game is where Cryptark really starts piling on the complications. In addition to the standard drone factories, you'll start seeing advanced drone factories, and they can spit out highly dangerous enemies such as juggernauts. These are heavily armored sons of bitches that will actively hunt you down as you move through the ship. You'll also be evading fortified turrets, contending with more drone variants, and in some cases just trying to figure out which way is the right way to go, because if that ship has a sensor jammer, you'll pretty much be navigating in the dark. It all lends this real sense of escalation and forces you to adapt on the fly. That old strategy that worked so well in earlier derelicts can easily fall apart as Cryptark introduces new system configurations, hazards, and enemies into the mix. Really, there's just a laundry list of things that I like about Cryptark. I like the fact that members of your salvage crew will occasionally chime in with bits of info about the place you're probably gonna die in. I really enjoyed just about escaping the edge of a nuclear blast wave after taking down a nuclear-equipped system. I like the fact that different types of derelict have their own particular thing going on in the background if you, of course, have time to look between dodging projectiles. And I really like how each individual system has its own gimmick for you to overcome, like how the turret control system is essentially a giant sawed-off gun turret itself, or how the door lock system requires you to do some directional button hacking before you can move in and blow it up. It's this kind of variety that keeps me returning to Cryptark. There's also the opportunity to even gain access to different salvage mechs in return for recovering tricky artifacts. Some will give you extra storage for guns or items, or others will let you briefly slow down time, each offering a new little tweak that you can try out in your next run. Even then, if you somehow grow weary of the campaign rat run in Cryptark, you'll be pleased to know that it has a few extra modes up its sleeve too. For one, there's Rogue Mode, which is where Cryptark says sod the second chance cash system, sod replenishing your supplies between excursions. It's just you, your chosen salvage suit, and whatever you can scavenge along the way. It certainly presents a much more tense experience as you meticulously scour the map for repair locations, ammo resupplies, and weapon upgrades. You may find yourself sweating gently as you wonder if you have enough ammo left to destroy the core, not to mention survive the start of the next ship, considering everything carries over. It's certainly more unforgiving, a mode that most certainly is for the permadeath purists out there. But what strikes me as slightly unfair, however, is that you need to conquer Rogue Mode if you want to try the Cryptark Excavation Mode, which seems like a little bit of a slap in the face after putting all of that effort into the standard campaign, only to have the game tell you to do it all over again, but this time with feeling. In terms of other minor hang-ups, I'm not sure I'm a fan of how drones seem to ignore doors in Cryptark, in the sense that they just pass on through as if they don't even exist, while you're stuck holding down a button for a second or two before being permitted passage. Essentially, this means drones can just wail on you either side of the door while you're trying to make your ineffectual escape. Also, during late-game battles, the screen can occasionally get incomprehensibly crowded with drones and hazards, and sometimes nukes going off left, right, and center, making some situations feel more like blind luck to overcome. Great when you survive, tremendously frustrating if you end up kicking the bucket. If I'm gonna be honest though, I find it hard to come up with many aspects of Cryptark that flat out annoyed me. I just found it to be really damn enjoyable, and if that ain't glowing praise, then I don't know what is. There's just something about taking down those interconnected systems that feels supremely satisfying, requiring just enough thought to make you feel smart for getting around those defenses. Then again, there's the other equally enjoyable scenario where that carefully laid out plan goes to absolute hell and you barely manage to take down that core with your guns running dry and only a few hull points left. Even if it sometimes falls prey to the aforementioned on-screen incomprehensible chaos, I can't deny that making it out alive is quite exhilarating. But yeah, there you go, that's what I thunk of Cryptark, a tremendously enjoyable roguelite that does a little more with the formula than most, and something that I genuinely feel deserves a little bit more attention. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and feel free to check out some of my other content here on the channel. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.